Hello students, welcome back. This is Unit 1, The Living World, in which we are in Chapter 3, Plant Kingdom, and we are in the Part 3 video. In Part 1 video and Part 2 video, we have seen about Thallophyta and Bryophyta. Okay, in Thallophyta, we have seen about algae, which is a simple structural plant. They don't have any complex structures. And in Bryophytes, we have seen about Bryophyta, which have somewhat complex structures, but they don't have any vascular tissues. But now we are going to see about pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are somewhat higher plants. They belong to the division cryptogams. Cryptogams are non-flowering plants. Here in pteridophytes, they have vascular tissues. They have a well-differentiated body structure, but they don't bear seeds. Though they have vascular tissues, they are seedless plants. They don't develop seeds. Hence, they come under the class pteridophytes. Coming to the characteristics of pteridophytes, this is the structure of a pteridophytic plant, that is a fern. Here you can see the roots, well differentiated root, and a rhizome. Rhizome is a root stalk. It is a fiddle head or cross ear. It is a curled up structure of the young fern, and this is stipe. Stipe is the structure which support all the other vegetative structure, and this is the leaf blade. Leaf blade is a leaf structure, and rachis is the main axis in which the leaves are arranged, and pinna is the pinnately arranged leaf. So pinnately arranged leaf structure is called as pinna, and the inner division of pinna is called as spinule, and the whole leaf like structure is called as frond or bracken. The whole structure is called as frond. Coming to the characteristics of pteridophytes, they are seedless vascular plants that have sporophytic plant body and inconspicuous gametophyte. So here in pteridophytes, the plant body is sporophytic. The sporophytic plant body is dominant, whereas gametophytic plant body is inconspicuous, and they are seedless vascular plants. They don't produce seeds and they have vascular tissue. Sporophytic plant body is differentiated into true stem, leaves and roots. So they have true stem, true leaves and true root. Vascular tissues are present but vessels are absent. Xylem consists of tracheids and phloem consists of sieve cells and albuminous cells. Since they have vascular tissues, they have connective tissues like xylem and phloem, and xylem consists of tracheids and phloem consists of sieve cells and albuminous cells. Sporophytes bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. So the sporophytes bear sporangia, and they are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. In some plants like Selaginella, compact structure called strobili or cone is formed. This strobili or cone is a sex organs that is seen in some plants like Selaginella. Sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cells. Spores germinate to produce multicellular thalloid called prothallus. So sporangia is a structure which produces spores, and these spores are produced from the spore mother cells. Spore mother cells are diploid in nature, and this diploid spore mother cells give rise to the haploid spores through the process of meiosis. So the sporophytic plant body is always diploid in nature, as we have seen earlier, and the spores germinate into the haploid gametophyte. So the spores are haploid in nature and they give rise to the haploid structure, that is the gametophyte. Spores germinate into produce a new thallide. New plant is called as prothallus. Coming to the gametophytic plant body, this is the fern gametophyte. Gametophyte is the structure which bears the sex organs. So it produces the male and female sex organ, and this is the antheridia, which is the male sex organ, and this is archegonia, which is the female sex organ. Antheridium produces the male gamete and archegonium produces the female gamete. and male gamete and female gamete are haploid in nature, and the whole gametophytic structure is haploid in nature. See, this is the egg sporophytic plant. This is the prothallus, which is formed after the germination of spores, and this prothallus gives rise to the sporophytic plant body. This is the young sporophyte produced. Gametophyte bears male and female sex organ called antheridia and archegonia. Water is required for fertilization of male and female gametes. As I have said earlier, water is required for fertilization because the male gamete has to swim towards the female gamete. The fertilization will take place in the archegonia. The male gamete has to swim towards the female gamete, and the fertilization takes place in archegonia, and the zygote and embryo will be developed in the archegonial structure. Most of pteridophytes produce spores of similar kind, homosporous, but in Selaginella and Salvinia, spores are of two kinds, heterosporous. See, in biology, you will be coming across so many terminologies. To memorize those terminologies or to understand those terminologies, you have to split the word. Here it is homosporous. So split it into homo and sporous. Homo means similar. Sporous is spores. So homosporous means similar spores. In this case, it refers to the size of the spores. So the homosporous means similar size of spores. Here in homosporous, the spores will be of similar size. Both the male gamete microspore and the female gamete megaspore will be of the same size. Hence it is called as homospores. Whereas in heterosporous, hetero means different and sporous means spores. So it is referring to the different kind of spores. In this case, it is a different size of spores. So one will be bigger and one will be smaller. So the bigger will be megaspore and the smaller will be microspore. Mega means bigger, right? Micro means smaller. So megaspore will be always female spore because the fertilization is taking place in archegonia. So it is, the zygote and embryo has to be developed in the archegonium, which is the megaspore. So the archegonium, the megaspore has to give nourishment to the zygote and embryo. So it should contain some nourishment cells. Hence it is larger in size. So megaspore is always female and microspore is always male. So the megaspore that produce female gametophyte and smaller one is called microspore that produce male gamete. Since it has to travel from one place to another, that is the male gamete has to travel, so it is smaller in size. Okay, so keep that in mind so that you can understand it better. Coming to the life cycle of pteridophytes, it starts from the mature sporophyte which is diploid in nature, and this matured sporophyte gives rise to the sporangia. Sporangia is the structure that bears the spores, and the sorus is the structure which holds the spores. This sporangium on meiosis gives rise to the haploid spores. The haploid spores, when reaching the favorable condition, germinates into the haploid gametophyte. The haploid gametophyte at first is called as prothallus, and they have the male and female sex organ, which is antheridium and archegonium respectively. This antheridium bears the male gamete, which is the sperm, and the archegonium bears the female sex gamete, which is egg. Both the sperm and egg, which are haploid in nature, fuse together to form the diploid zygote. This diploid zygote is formed in the archegonium, and this process is called as fertilization, and this zygote develops into the new sporophyte. Again, the life cycle goes on and on. This is about the life cycle of pteridophytes, in which the diploid sporophyte is dominant, whereas the haploid gametophyte is inconspicuous, and this alternation of generation pattern is called as haplodiplontic. Coming to the classification of pteridophytes, pteridophytes are classified into four major classes. They are Psilopsida, example Psilotum; Lycopsida, example Lycopodium and Selaginella; Filicopsida, example Cherries and Adiantum; Phenopsida, example is Equisetum. These are the pictures of Selaginella, Teres, Dryopteris, Equisetum and Adiantum. So this is about the classification of pteridophytes. Coming to the economic importance of pteridophytes. See how beautiful they are, right? So this beauty adds up to their economic importance. So first, coming to the economic importance, pteridophytes are used in the horticulture. The different species of Selaginella are grown as a garden plants. Since they are beautiful and pleasant to the eyes, they are used as an ornamental plants in horticulture, and species of Selaginella are grown as a garden plants. Brumora adiantiformis is called the florist fern. Since they are leaf resist wilting, they are used in the cut flower arrangement. So in Brumora adiantiformis, their leaves resist wilting, that is drying up. So they are used in bouquets and in the cut flower arrangements. Hence they are called as florist fern. Some of the ferns are used in handicrafts. Petioles of certain ferns are used for making basketry and bracelets. So their leaves are used in making basketry and bracelets. Since they are so beautiful, they are used in making ornaments. Pteridium leaves are used for making the green dye. This is the pteridium plant, and those leaves are used for making the green dye. This is club mosses and this is azolla. Club mosses are used as a dry industrial lubricant since its microscopic spore contains non-volatile oils. Since their spores contain non-volatile oils which doesn't evaporate easily, it is used as a dry industrial lubricant. The spores are also used as flash powder in photography and also used as fingerprint powder in forensic investigation. Some pteridophytes are eaten as food. Some are dinitrogen fixers. Example is the azolla. It is an economically valuable species which is used as a biofertilizer. Since azolla leaves contain symbiotic cyanobacteria that are able to convert atmospheric nitrogen to nitrate. Azolla itself is not fixing the nitrogen. Here it is living in a symbiotic relationship with the cyanobacteria. Those cyanobacteria fixes the nitrogen to nitrate and it is used as a biofertilizer. Some members of pteridophytes are noxious weed like Salvinia, Pteridium, which are weedy aquatic ferns. Salvinia and Pteridium are weedy aquatic ferns. Coming to the difference between bryophytes and pteridophytes. In bryophytes, the main plant body is gametophyte, whereas in pteridophytes, the main plant body is sporophyte. Bryophytes are non-vascular plants, whereas pteridophytes are vascular plants. They have the connective tissues. Sporophyte is parasitic over gametophyte in case of bryophytes. In bryophytes, the sporophyte doesn't have a photosynthetic structure, so they depend on gametophyte for nourishment. Whereas in pteridophytes, sporophyte is independent of gametophyte as they are autotrophs by themselves. Plant body can be thallus or foliose in case of bryophytes, whereas in pteridophytes, they have a well differentiated stem, leaves and roots. Bryophytes, true stems and leaves are not present, whereas in pteridophytes, true stems and leaves are present. Roots are absent and rhizoids are present in case of bryophytes. Rhizoids are root-like hairy structures, whereas in pteridophytes, roots are present. Sex organs are stalked in case of bryophytes, whereas sex organs are sessile in case of pteridophytes. The wall of archegonial neck is 5 to 6 rod in case of bryophytes, whereas the wall of archegonial neck is 4 rod in case of pteridophytes. With this, we come to the end of the video. Please go through the video again and again for a better understanding. Thank you, students. We will meet again in the part 4 video. Thank you.